So welcome to the podcast. Each episode we speak to new guests about nutrition, physical training, or spiritual training as well. So I want to speak to you a bit today about nutrition, Carl, but first of all just introduce yourself, from your journey, being diagnosed with CF, to your history and battles with health, and then your understanding of nutrition, and then how that has helped you to improve your health. If you just want to start from the beginning to where you are now, that'd be great.
Right, so obviously I was born with cystic fibrosis. That affects your digestive system as well as your lungs and everything else. But what I learned early on with regards to the cystic fibrosis diet was that it was outdated, massively outdated, because it relied heavily on sugar content and all that type of stuff. The problem was that a lot of doctors and dietitians and the diet itself is so ingrained that logic, when you try and apply, you think, oh, that can't be healthy for me.
Yeah.
You'd almost find it like a sandwich from a tree, so it's really hard to survive longer than they initially expected you to. Now I've lived out a lot. My friends, unfortunately, or fortunately, because I've kind of did my own thing with nutrition. I'm not obviously reading up in high school at St George's. I was always interested in it. Mrs. Cunliffe, remember she was always knew about the proteins and your vitamins and all that type of stuff from an early age, purely because I only absorbed 30%. I think it's about 60%, 30% just doesn't get absorbed, so I've got that malabsorption. And
that's due to CF?
Yeah, the cystic fibrosis in the intestines. So
it's kind of been a necessity for you to find out all this stuff in terms of your health.
Yeah, I mean, basically, with regards to everything else, because with cystic fibrosis it affects your lungs mostly because you're constantly getting chest infections.
Yeah.
To try and prevent chest infections, you want good nutrition, and you want a diet that doesn't cause inflammation, because that's why cystic fibrosis means scarring, and that is from constant inflammation and correction, then inflammation and correction, and that causes scarring. So if you injure, say, a tendon or a muscle continuously, it's going to cause problems. So that's where that comes from. So my idea was, if I can minimise inflammation and minimise the amount of infections again, then ideally I'd live longer.
Yeah. What does inflammation? How would you describe it to someone who's just listening to this podcast now, and how does that relate to food that causes inflammation?
Right. So a great example that we can show people is, say for tomorrow in the next 3 days. I mean, it's kind of like flu season now, but if you're getting a bit chesty and all that type of stuff, if you tend to eat a high sugar content diet and a high milk dairy diet for 3 or 4 days, you're going to take longer to get better. Now, if you just cut that right down, so maybe having maximum 20 grams, 30 grams of sugar, and you're not adding any sugar to your diet. So if you are having a brew, you're not having sugar in it, or you're avoiding fizzy pops.
Is this to help you get better when you're feeling run down?
Well, yeah, because basically, if your body is already fighting off an infection, which mine was constantly because of cystic fibrosis, it doesn't need more bricks on the donkey's back, putting more stress on it. So ideally, I thought if I take them, even though there was obviously suggested to me at the time those toxic ideas of sugar, copious amounts of cake, everything being fried, all this type of stuff, then it would have less strain on my body, and my body could fight the actual infection much better. So, but if you generally don't eat sugar for about 3-4 days, you won't notice it. When you fully breathe in and you breathe into your lower lobes and you hold it and you concentrate on pushing it down, and you breathe out slowly, if you've got a large sugar content, you'll probably hear, it's almost like a whistle. When you get to your lower lobes and create negative pressure, you'll hear it. And then obviously when you're not eating, it's obviously much better for you. Singers do it like Beyonce and all them, to try and cut down on sugar and just drink loads and loads of water, because obviously better lungs, better singing.
So just to go back to when you were in hospital with CF and you was feeling really run down with it, at one point I think I remember you telling me that some of the side effects of the medication were that bad you could hardly see. Did you change your diet in order to influence your health, and if so, how did that influence your health, and what did you do?
Right, so there's been numerous times where I've had to adapt my diet to basically a very primitive diet, a very primitive, purely micronutrient, minimally processed, high nutrient diet, as in when you cook certain foods, they lose a lot of nutrients. So if you eat them obviously as organically and as raw as possible, for sometimes it's a bit better. So there was one time where I had liver impairment, and it was considerable liver impairment that they believe was maybe a cause because of intravenous antibiotics, because these obviously are heavy duty. You're only supposed to be on it for like 2 weeks. So I went for 2 weeks and my liver function went down. My consultant came and spoke to me and just basically said, if your liver function doesn't get better soon, we're going to have to do a biopsy. So I was obviously dreading it because, you know, with biopsies, and unfortunately how things are at the minute, just for that, if anything goes wrong, I've not got another liver. Do you know what I mean? So they put me on some medication anyway that is supposed to improve your liver function. I think it's urso, they call it urso acid. The problem with that is one of the side effects is it can actually cause liver damage at the same time. So it's like a double-ended sword. I mean, it's just so stupid. So I thought, I'm not fucking having that. I thought, no chance. So I just, at the time I was an inpatient on Pace Ward. I spoke to the chef, because he had a chef, I won't say he's a chef, but he had like a cook. Instead of having the Sodexo pushed food and the cakes and everything which you normally push, I was just eating more sweet potato, raw onion, bananas, everything just raw, and just drinking water and tea. That was it.
Yeah, and this was because of your own prior knowledge of nutrition.
Yeah, purely because you
and no one told you to eat this. In fact, contrary to that, the medical people were telling you to eat foods that you believed would actually increase your stay in hospital or make your condition worse.
Yeah, I mean, there was studies done, we're talking like in the 50s and the 60s, that show sugar and high blood sugar exasperates inflammation, exasperates infections. If you don't have them and your body's not acidic to a certain degree, you'll be better, you'll be well. So in that situation, if you're dealing with someone like myself, which is classed as chronically ill, the last thing you would want to do is give them 200 grams of sugar a day. 10 times the amount you'd give a healthy person who isn't prone to diabetes.
But yeah, doctors told you.
But this diet that was pushed forward via cystic fibrosis, like research, like in 70s and all this type of stuff, it was still going up until then. I mean, it's still probably going now, to be honest.
Yeah.
But obviously, I was like, I'm so unwell. I know the liver can repair itself. I know someone who's completely been cured of hepatitis. And that's just through good food. He should have been dead 30 years ago. He's not. He's still running around at 82 years old, playing badminton, but he did the same thing. He learned his own stuff. He learned about nutrition. He learned the fact they had to weigh antibiotics and everything and get it better. So basically that was it. I went back to super raw, organic if possible, clean stuff, and I just did that for a week. I did not take the medication they recommended. In that week that I was in, the only variable in that situation was the diet. I wasn't allowed out. I was an inpatient all the time. The only thing that changed, I was still on the same medication, still on the same antibiotics, the antibiotics. The only thing that changed was the food. And then after a week, some more bloods happened, came back, and I remember the consultant, I mean, he's a very senior consultant. I think he's like the big cheese now, and just said to me, he said, them tablets worked. I've worked very well, you know. You back up to above baseline, so you definitely don't need a biopsy. We might keep you on this medicine long term. And I just laughed to myself, and then I was like, he's not going to believe me.
Yeah.
I said to him, his name was Andy, I can't take his second name, but Andy, mate, I said, I didn't take one of them tablets. I said, I didn't. I said, all I did is I ate super clean. That's all I did, nothing else. No, he's just shaking his head. He's like, can't put it down to anything.
Yeah.
He said, I don't believe it, we should diet. I said, that's the only variable. Now, me looking at it from a logic point of view, it would have to be the diet, unless God intervened or something like that. But obviously, believe it or not. So Right, I don't believe it's your diet. And this is from a consultant. He said, go and get a McDonald's. That's what he said to me.
Really?
That's what he said to me, man. And I was like, and I said to him at the time, I went, can you not write this down, man?
So what their understanding is that calories are king, and that's it. What do you
their
think their understanding, what their idea is?
Their logic in it is because we only absorb 60%.
Yeah.
So when obviously in a calories intake of 3,000 calories, we only get 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
So them extra calories will keep us going and being able to
So
fight
just the
infection.
calories is energy.
That's it. But I'm saying, instead of fighting the infection, prevent the infection. That's the key. Prevention is better than cure. That's what old medicine used to be like. Prevent yourself. Just prevent yourself from getting unwell. Obviously didn't work that time with regards to trying to convince him, but it just confirmed what was right in my head, that in your DNA, deep down in your DNA, you've got the precursors and the coding to go back and say, right, you give me this, the basic, we've got the programs in your DNA and we'll make you get better as long as you give us just what we need, nothing else, no junk or that type of stuff. Right. And it's like I said, it's happened a few times, but the hardest thing is...
So what are you saying there? So that your body's able to heal itself, and it's like hardwired in to be able to do that. You just need to stop giving it toxins and giving it the nutrients that it needs.
Yeah,
and then will kickstart that health regeneration.
Yeah, 100%. So if you think like on this PC, on this laptop, you can go back to basic input output. Right? It's got the code in there, not the user interface, everything. It goes back to what makes it function ultimately. Now, if you look back at us, say we've been around for 20,000 years or something, I don't want to get into the debate about evolution and stuff, but we've had to survive on little foods, little nutrients, all types of stuff. So our body is a super efficient machine. It gets what it can, it strips it, uses it. Preservatives, additives, all pesticides, all these things have only come about in the last 100 years, 120 years, and it's like we're not used to them, so this is what I believe cause problems. Antibiotics, we're talking again about 110, 105 years, something like that. So obviously I'm thinking, these things our body can tolerate them because we're super adaptive, we can tolerate them for a short amount of time, but too long it becomes toxic. And that's obviously what I believe happened on the second time when he was giving me 2-minute intravenous antibiotics, and he had to change my diet then again, purely because I couldn't even hold down water. You know, my body was just rejecting it. I think at a temperature of 39 degrees, and the CRP was about 180, I think it was, something like that.
What's CRP?
CRP, I can't remember what it stands for. It's a protein basically shows you, I think, gives you a good idea of the inflammation markers in your body, so how hard your body's working to keep everything, you know, going. Now, a healthy person, like I said, is about between 0 and 5, 0 and 3. You know, that's just your day-to-day process of coming into contact with a bit of germs. If you've got a bad chest infection, maybe 30, 40, something like that. 180 is like serious. You know what I mean? So, but what it says in the, I think like the medical books is the highest CRP, they need another antibiotic. Now I was on 3 antibiotics. I was on topamycin, meropenem. I was on another one. I can't remember what it was, but I believe it was the meropenem that wasn't agreeing with, and it's like my body was just rejecting it. So I rejected that on the basis that I believed it was killing me. And the doctors advised against it. They said, you know, you're going against our advice here, you may die. I was trying to just listen to my body. My body was saying, stop it, you know, like stop putting this into me. And there was no food going in, there was no water going in, it was just only drugs. So that's what I could think about it. Just what I thought. So they did that, and I think after a couple of hours, about 10 hours, the temperature stabilised, and then next day I was able to keep water and food down, just a bit of water, a bit of food. But then I developed what was called it's to do with stools, basically, where your good bacteria in stools is non-existent, and it's obviously they put you in isolation from. The conversation I had with a doctor is, you've absolutely leathered my body, you know, with these drugs, so you can't expect any more. You you know, you're basically killing me. You're not just killing the bacteria, you're killing me. It's like another stage of chemotherapy, you know, and radiotherapy and all that type of stuff. Basically, you're just hoping that the larger organism can take more of the toxic, you know, the toxicity than the small organisms such as the cancer or the viruses or the bugs. And all. That's how it is basically.
Yeah.
It doesn't just target one thing. So obviously that was done, and then changed from there. It was like, right, because that's what it was called, C. diff. So to combat this C. diff, it's like you're gonna have to be on this drug and it can cause this and all these ridiculous side effects. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm just gonna eat myself well.
So in a kind of way, you were eating to repopulate your good
That's
gut
it.
bacteria.
Exactly that. Because
and I don't think a lot of people understand that we have trillions of bacteria cells in our body, and that they can be responsible, in depending on whether we have a certain amount of good, a certain amount of bad for disease. And if you're saying that, you know, evidence of yourself that you've fed these good bacteria, you start to feel well, more better in yourself, and then you're just going to speak about a bit more about it.
yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, the thing is, right, a lot of people think, and this is the hard thing to get by, because there's so much misinformation around food, nutrition, commercial nutrition.
I've only learned about it 6 months ago about the gut bacteria, and I'm a personal trainer studying for 3 years.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. It's crazy because even when I talk to doctors about it, like I'd have arguments with the most senior dietitians in Withenshaw Hospital about how they can recommend diets of 200, 300 grams of sugar a day for chronic ill people. But the food that they put in front of these people, minus the sugar, it's got nothing to it. It's made with the poorest ingredient, with the poorest quality, and made for the cheapest possible, for the highest possible profit. When I was having this discussion with them, I was saying, if you go in good food, good organic, with the correct amount of micronutrients, all that type of stuff, you'd have a faster turnover of patients. So overall, you'd save the NHS on, you know, money, you save people's lives, blah blah blah, all this type of stuff. But unfortunately, there's a lot of contracts involved, which stops that happening. So, in a hospital where it's National Health Service, you've got places where they sell, you know, extremely processed foods, like, you know, Subway, for instance. Everything is there. It's just massively processed. There's not one thing I'd say on that menu where you can be like, I can eat that, and I know my body's going to be like, good job, mate. I'm going to get better. It ain't going to happen. Yeah,
so as we speak about processed foods, we're speaking about nutrients being taken out.
Yeah, well, it's not just the nutrients taken out. It's what the problem is, and this goes back to obviously your intestines, and your gut, you know, needing that good stuff. What generally we cover it in is preservatives and additives and sugar. Now, sugar causes inflammation, and preservatives will have a negative effect, and obviously, this is why I believe most people's health, you know, is generally poor. They've got a lot of underlying issues, but this is what I believe. Because years ago, you've not had like thousands of years for like a plant or something to adapt. This has come in very fast. And this is why I believe, you know, there's so many illnesses. But how I think about it is, if you used to put, you know, say a bit of a brown sauce on your skin here, just leave it for 2 days, it will become irritated. Even though it's okay to ingest it and it pass through your system, the stuff in it will still irritate your skin, and your skin's an organ. Now, your bowels and your intestines and your gut and everything is also a system, a transferring system, in and out, in and out. So instead of this system, your intestine and your gut, that is used to absorb nutrients, micronutrients, to build healthy cells, you're putting crap in there, and it's having to process crap rather than take the nutrients and say, right, use them for these cells, all that type of stuff. It's going, oh, we can't use that, go and store that over there, store that in the lymphatic system, store that on the hips, store that there, all this type of stuff. And this, over years and years and years and years, is obviously what causes the problem. Most people's diets, if they could, I think, would the insulin that I think that they'd have to produce daily would be interesting, purely because I believe most people's diets nowadays, micronutrients are completely deficient. I would wager on most things.
Yeah. Just for anyone who's listening who's not sure, could you just separate the difference between macronutrients and micronutrients?
So your macronutrients are your things that the Western diet puts an emphasis on.
Yeah.
Okay. To be healthy, you need X amount of carbohydrates, X amount of protein, X amount of fat, and then the danger one, if you know, would be called salt. You know, you've got a bit of salt and the fibre. I think ones that they push as well. But your micronutrients are stuff that, like your potassium, your B vitamins, you know, your vitamin D, your vitamin A, all your vitamins, all the small ones that you need in very small doses, but you can function extremely well. So when I was eating well and I knew I had to repair myself, I didn't have thousands of calories. I didn't have 200 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
I had very little carbs, but I had micronutrient dense foods.
Yeah.
And that is what I believe we need ultimately to stay well.
What would like a meal example of that look like?
I think, like again, the Western diet is a large portion of carbohydrates, a large
So like
portion of
pasta,
protein,
rice,
yeah, a large portion of protein and a
bread.
bit of veg,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. I mean, in Peru, because obviously I'm half Peruvian, they have they shouldn't do this because they're prone to getting very round Peruvians, you know, as they get older. But they have two portions of carbs with each meal.
Yeah.
So they'll have rice and chips.
Yeah.
Or rice and bread and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not a great thought. But obviously that causes, when you're having that much carbs, it causes the insulin resistance, sorry, that causes the roundness. So this is what I mean, you see
inflammation.
Well, it causes the insulin resistance because your pancreas will be working that hard constantly to try and bring this. Obviously, when your carbs cause your blood sugar to go high, you know, if you're eating large amounts of white rice and fried chips and stuff, your body has to produce enough to bring it back down. And this constant like this will cause insulin resistance over time, I believe. And this is why you get round. This is why me, because I'm on prednisolone, I've got weight. I can easily get weight on my body and store water on my arms and stuff, on my legs. It's not so easy. It's not like it's hard to build muscle because it's the insulin resistance. But this is what I mean. Like, I struggle with day-to-day eating because this concept that I have of food is not widespread and it's not adopted.
Yeah.
You go to the doctors, the first thing they should be asking you is about your diet, going into super detail about your diet. But they don't. They ask you, do you smoke? Do you drink? You know, have you got flight stairs in your house? Do you have pets? You know, all this mad stuff. But I'd say what's more important than that is obviously your food. You know what I mean? But again, this is the system we live in with regards to the healthcare system. So the only way to actively be well is to learn about yourself. But yeah, your micronutrients and macronutrients, different parts of your body use different things, like your heart. Obviously, if you're very low in potassium, I think it is, you're more prone to having a heart attack. You know, just loads. You know, just loads that underlying thyroid problems are absolutely rife in our population. That's because I don't think we're eating anything that contains iodine. You know, stuff like that anymore. You know, stuff in the sea as well, like sea moss and all that type of stuff. But difficult.
So speaking about macros and micros, then, if you were to put, say, a certain amount of meals or an amount of calories, or how would you put that across as, say, like a more suitable human diet from what we're used to? So we're told 3 square meals a day, 2 snacks. We're facing a lot of food throughout the day. That's what is being preached in, and as in the fitness industry as well. It's like you should always be eating a lot for your metabolism. What do you think?
I think it's a great business idea. It's a great business model to push onto people to overconsume. Modern day society is about consumption. Doesn't matter what you're consuming, it's just about consumption. The food industry is part of that. The pharmaceutical industry is part of that. The automotive industry, every industry is consume, and any way they can. With regards to your trainers, you know, oh, they're nice trainers, yeah, but these ones are in fashion this month, so then you got to buy another pair, consume. So it fits the agenda for someone to say, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and then you've got to have your dinner because you've got to eat every 4 hours if you're training or if you want to be well, and then you've got your tea, and then your supper, your 2 snacks.
But I bet in olden times when when we're evolving biologically speaking, we didn't just wake up and start cracking open a box of cereal and eating that. Our bodies aren't really adapted to what we are told to eat today.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, if you would have you're talking 200 years ago, 200, 300 years ago, food was scarce.
Yeah.
Scarce. So all these things that studies have shown that benefit for us now, our DNA is adapted to, and that's why they're beneficial. So with regards to fasting for a certain amount of hours in the morning, just drinking your water in your system in the morning, good water, not the stuff that comes out your tap, would obviously be beneficial, because years ago we would have woke up, we probably would have hydrated first thing, then we would have got ready to either to hunt, to gather, whatever. That's what we would have done. We definitely wouldn't have been like, because we know for a fact there's not enough food to go around to have breakfast, dinner, tea, 2 snacks, and all that type of stuff. It was like 9 times out of 10, it would have been probably, especially for, probably my family and stuff like that, it would have been 1 meal a day, and your body would have to make do with that. I mean, it'd be generally healthier than what it is now.
Yeah.
But definitely not what we're talking. The overconsumption of us, I believe, adds to the problems, because like your legs, if you run for 24 hours a day or 16 hours a day, they're going to be shot in no time at all. Again, your stomach and your gut, I believe it does need a rest, like every part of us. That's why we sleep. Our brain even needs a rest, to recuperate and process everything. So to me, it just makes sense that we shouldn't be eating this much. I think a diet realistically of 900 calories, and I know that sounds drastic, 900 calories, but making sure you get an abundance of all your micronutrients, you'd be extremely healthy.
Yeah.
I believe that, because I've seen it in the older generation. Like, there was this lady from West Arden, God, she was 97, she used to walk 3 miles a day with a bag of shopping. She used to eat soda, but she couldn't deviate from what she ate. She'd have a brew in the morning, just 1 brew, then about mid-morning she'd have half a piece of toast, not even 1 piece of toast. Then she'd have a small dinner, normally like a mackerel or something, like a little fish, just that on its own. Then she'd have a tea later on, and then she'd have a biscuit and a cup of tea. That's all she had. And she was so healthy for years and years and years. I couldn't believe it, mate. And I just thought, because it was a fair walk.
Yeah.
And I used to think, she must need more calories to do that every day. But I think her body got so used to maintaining on just what she needs. Because I don't think it was very nutritious what she was eating, but I think she maybe came from a different generation where there wasn't such an abundance of eat.
Yeah. But yet she still lived to a good age.
99.
And was active.
Yeah, she was active. Yeah, she ended up going in hospital, getting poorly, and then she didn't get better in hospital.
I mean, if we were to contrast that with people who eat a lot, they tend to have a lot of problems with, especially not just eating a lot, but a lot of the wrong foods. They tend to look a lot older, have hip and joint problems, arthritis, things like that, and conditions like that. So I think it is ingrained within us to always looking at the back of food, like the average amount of calories for a woman, 2,000, the average amount for a man, 2,500. So we think that we have to get those in each day. Where do you think that, where does it come from that we should try? Where do you believe that we should start off from in terms of calories, instead of going for the daily recommended amounts? Or is that kind of a bit vast?
No, it's not. It's definitely the right question that should be being asked. It's just, unfortunately, it's difficult to construct an answer for that question in modern day living arrangements, because it's just so difficult. So, if, for instance, you didn't have to work and you wasn't always on the go and you didn't have to do kids and the school runs and all this type of stuff, and you could just concentrate purely on your diet and your physical health, as it were, I think really you could look at reducing the amount you eat. I think you should think about increasing the quality of what you eat. So you're exchanging one for the other, but you still come towards the middle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I told you about this a while ago. There was a study on tomatoes, organically grown tomatoes and aggressively farmed tomatoes, and it was shown that an organic tomato contained 4 times the amount of micronutrients as the aggressive one. So one organic tomato is the same micronutrient content or nutrient content as 4 aggressively farmed ones. But the aggressively farmed ones also have negative things in them. So they obviously have a negative effect on your life. So, you know, if you look at it like that.
Would these be like toxins that kill the good gut bacteria?
Yeah, I mean, these things kill all life. It's as simple as that. And this is what I try and explain to people. It's super hard because people go, oh, it's just more expensive, it's a scam. It's the perfect way. It's the perfect way that the system wants you to be apathetic to wanting to learn and wanting to live longer. And you know, saying, I have to do it from food. Because all your cells are made up from the food you eat. It's as simple as that. So if you eat stuff that's heavily processed,
You literally are what you eat.
You literally are what you eat. You know, with regards to if you eat things that are constantly full of, you know, pesticides and all this type of stuff that your body can't process and your kidney isn't in the shape to get rid of, what would you do? If I put loads of rubbish, say, in that corner there, and every time I've made so much, threw some more rubbish in it, it will come big, and you're storing it. And that's what I believe your body does, and that's why I believe that cancers kind of come from. Because it's like your kidneys, say, are your tip, so they clear out everything, all this rubbish that you're putting in, but they can only clear out a certain amount, you know, like say per day. Like the bin can only collect so much. After that, it's got to be just left there. And I think what your body does is your body put it aside and go, right, I'll deal with that in a bit. But then if you do, maybe you go on to say a specialist diet like Dr Sebi or something like that, then your body can actually get rid of this bit by bit. That's what I believe, and that's why I believe in. With me, when my health was so bad, I had a build up. I was like, right, I need to sort it out. So I ate clean, and then my body was able to get rid of it and get better. But it's hard to explain that to doctors and trying to get people that. I mean, obviously here in the cafe, to try and understand that eating less but eating better is good value for money. It's probably one of the hardest things to try and convince people.
And I think like eating less and eating better, and then what you mentioned Dr Sebi, I was interested and looked into it myself and looked at certain foods that he was eating, so I'll put a link to one of his videos, and yeah, if you'd just like to tell people a bit more about that, and did you include his foods when you were getting better yourself, and if so, what did some of them foods look like, just give people a snapshot of it?
So his principles are more drastic than mine. Like I just try and eat organic food, you know, anything that comes out of the ground I try and have a go at. Dr Sebi believed in anything that produces mucus in your body has a negative effect, because that is the precursor to our disease, is the body's reaction to certain types of food that causes mucus, which is like Dr Gundry lectins, like I said, it's the same principle. Something that we're not supposed to have in our body that causes a reaction, and then reaction then causes a problem.
Like nightshades.
Yeah, nightshades. Again, tomato skins, all that type of stuff. But it's hard to try and implement, say, Sebi's diet or Gundry's diet in the Western world. This is the hardest thing. So it's almost like you know what you've got to do, and I'm the biggest one for it, because I'm in the cafe here and I'm serving spam and all sorts of data builders, you know, in one cup, you know, lattes with 4 sugars and all this type of stuff, and you're just like, geez, these are big dudes, but you can't say to him, man, you're eating the bad stuff, it's going to get you, you know what I mean? So it's like when you were saying before about people who tend to eat a lot of food, they get ill one way or the other. Now if they follow the Western, or this new type of protein, you're going to have heart problems, kidney problems, huge amounts of stress on your body and all this type of stuff. Or if you go down you know, the waste food with regards to spam, everything fried and coke and all this type of stuff, that's going to have the negative effect. And if you look at it like a mirror, an alternate is vegetables. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just weird. But it's like there, it's like, you see the bad, what's happening over there, and you're like, I don't want to be like that. And then you see over there and you know what these people are doing. Obviously we've talked about people in the blue zones before. And it's there. The writing's on the wall. The hard thing is the misinformation, the propaganda, the TV that is saying, no, you need to eat copious amount of protein. All through our, I believe, 10,000 years, 20,000 years, we've not had huge amounts of protein. We just wouldn't have been. I mean, maybe when it was obviously hunting and it was huge. You know, there was loads of bison in America and there was animals everywhere. Yeah, probably. And the fish was abundant, but now the fish that you get is just junk.
Yeah.
It's not even worth having. Obviously, like.
You're always trying to avoid farm fish.
Oh, mate, it's murder. There's a great documentary. I'll try and find it so I can share the link. It talks about, there was a scientist, a nutritional scientist, and she did a study on farmed salmon stuff. I think it was like in the Baltic Sea or something. But basically just showing that it was more toxic, like it had more of a negative effect on your health than if you didn't eat it.
Yeah.
That's how mad it is. So you literally, and that ties in with this philosophy that I've got. It's a bit like mad, but the establishment and those that will be get you to buy your poison. Do you know what I mean? It sounds
Pick
crazy.
your poison.
Yeah, pick your poison. They pay for your poison.
Yeah.
So at the minute you buy tap water, the tap water's not clean. You pay for your tap water. You're paying for meat, for protein, and all that stuff. That's not what we should be eating. It's the same with vegetables and all this type of stuff. And if you do want to get the good stuff, then obviously.
So vegetables with pesticides, and then the food from the animals is in drugs.
Yeah, it's the same. What they do is what they feed it with, like these pellets.
It's not the natural diet.
It's not the natural diet. It's full of crap. If you get salmon, if you get like wild salmon, it's obviously it's darker colour. You know, if you get anything, there's a fishmongers in Charlton, and they get seasonal catches. It's as simple as that. If they've not got it that season, you ain't getting it. It's as simple as that. Which is obviously meant. And that's what it should be for everything.
That's how our digestive systems, our bodies are used to eating as well, because that's how our ancestors would have had. When we can get food in season, we should eat it. I mean, since you told me that, when we looked at buying fruit when it's in season as well, you know.
Dr Gundry says that, but I think he's right, because how a plant depicts or works out when to flower, when to, you know, is dependent on light, dependent on seasons. No. Is it that drastic to think that we're like that? That we absorb fats and proteins more in the summer when there would be more of an abundance of meat than in the winter? Is that such a drastic thing to think? Because to me, that sounds normal. That's how I would adapt if I could control my DNA. That's how I would adapt. I'd be like, right, it's catch season. I mean, that's what I think. And then obviously through the winter months, I go into basically the fasting type of thing, where we're able to fast. Scarce, yeah. And would survive on pickled stuff and all this type of stuff. But again, I'm not a scientist. I've not got any studies about that, but it'd be interesting to see if it's obviously applicable.
Yeah.
Towards what now?
I mean, I think a lot of people have an issue with seeing food as just something that should taste nice. They're not necessarily seeing it as fuel. What are your thoughts on food as fuel versus food as taste?
Yeah, no, you 100% right now. 100% you're right. Food now, right, is more about telling people about the food, taking pictures of your food, and the taste. That's it. So I'd say in them orders at the minute, for the mass amount of public, I'd say it probably goes, does it look good? Does it taste good? And probably price. I'd say that's how it goes. Because everybody wants to share, oh look what I'm eating, I've been there. Perfect example is that steakhouse down south, that Al Nusra, where they just, you know, Salt Bay.
Salt Bay style.
110,000 for like a couple of steaks with gold on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's madness. You can get, there's a food place in Stretford called Cow. And I believe I mean, there's obviously Hawksmoor in Manchester, which is great as well, but these places, they have like their own farms where they grow their own cows, you know, and I mean, I think this is true. I believe the Hawksmoor cows, when they're obviously slain, they listen to Mozart or something, listen to classical music so they're as relaxed as possible. Something mad like that anyway.
Yeah.
But these places have got good quality meat, but it will always be overlooked because of showmanship and this idea of what's the right word? What do you call these gentlemen who put on a show but they're false? It's that anyway, do you know what I mean? But it's complete opposite. So if you flip the coin on that, where you've got ego, look what I'm eating, I'm proud of this, look at this. You've got food that is humble but is good for you.
Yeah.
And that is just vegetables straight out of the ground, covered in dirt. And then obviously you've got, instead of it tasting good, you know it's good for you. Yeah. It's what your body needs, it's not what your tongue, it's like, yeah, nice one. Yeah. And then obviously the third part is the price. And price is different to value. You should never get these confused. Price is different to value. Most people are so concerned about price, they forego value completely. So people coming in and go, oh, what a large breakfast, we'll tell them the price, it's a bit dear. And they'd be happy with a mound of shit. A mound of just beans and all these things that obviously are not great for your body. But you could have, obviously, like a salad box, spinach and, you know, all this type of stuff. And nice eggs, clean sauce of baked chicken, you know, all that. Yeah. But it's not the case, it's mountains of it. So that's the difficult thing, but if you could live by this, on this side, with a nice healthy diet, you'll probably notice your health get considerably better, you'd lose weight, you'd retain less water, all this type of stuff. I mean, it'd be interesting to do the blood tests. Yeah. You know, just for this thing, but yeah, unfortunately, food isn't seen as like a health giver or for nutrition. Yeah. It's almost like another extension of one's perceived personality. I want to be seen eating nice steaks and huge. I don't know a guy who has about, it's like 6 espresso shots at once. But I don't know if he thinks it's manly to have loads of caffeine, but like in one, but it's just, he's probably going to have osteoporosis soon. Because it's just so bad for your bones. It's
what, excess caffeine? Yeah,
excess caffeine. It's real bad for you when you're having huge amounts of it. Obviously, small amounts and it's fine, but
what would you say to people who say that old cliche or healthy food doesn't taste good? Would you say it's to do with, in terms of their knowledge of preparing it, or?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
If you, my son Jake, he says to me all the time, I don't like potatoes. It's like, you're an idiot, because in Peru you've got like 800 different potatoes, and what you can do with potatoes is immense. You know what I mean? You're not just talking about mashed, roasted, and boiled potatoes.
Chips.
Yeah, you do so many things with them. So to say that you don't like one thing because you've had it one particular way, it's just madness. It's just you should never eliminate one food type just purely for that. It's just it just doesn't make sense, especially obviously when.
Most people can have like these bad experiences as kids when it comes to trying new healthy foods, and then that can take that over into adulthood. When it comes to them, you know, wanting to try something new, they'll just dismiss it because it's like, oh no, I don't like that. It's something that happened years ago. But if they just found out that, you know, you can use garlic, lemon juice, olive oil when preparing your food to add flavour, frying some onion with that, you know, adds flavour as well. I found that creating my own meals based around whole foods, so foods that contain 5 ingredients or less, like cauliflower, broccoli, chicken breast, potato. These all have less than 5 ingredients. These are whole foods. Looking to balance my plate with that, but learning something which is important is flavour and taste as well. So like I just mentioned there, the onions, chilies, garlic, olive oil, using that to create a base for your flavour, rather than adding heaps of sauce with sugar on and stuff like that on top of healthy food.
Yeah.
You can create flavour, you can make healthy food, taste it, if anything, even better.
Yeah, definitely.
What you can get processed. It's just that misconception, isn't it?
When I was, definitely right. I mean, if you go to, and I always believe this, I think from when I was about 24, there needs to be a book called The Man Manual, right? Not just for men, but I'm talking about young men, because young women tend to get taught how to cook and stuff off the parents, off the mum, and all that type of stuff, so it's generally passed on. But I know a lot of young men don't know how to cook for bolognese. Think, I'll throw some Don Mayo in, and Don Mayo's just literally full of sugar and crap. And obviously you can make your own sauce with tomatoes, you throw mushrooms, carrots, tomato puree and garlic, whatever you want, and chilies. You can make it however you want, it's meant. But me, prior to me meeting my current partner, I lived on the same food, and my routine was just the same thing every day. And I was happy with it, I was completely fine with it. So in the morning, I'd have some toast with some bacon. That was obviously nitrate-free bacon. And then I'd have 3 eggs. Just 3 eggs purely because I knew that this is pre-transplant, so I needed the calories.
And nitrate's a preservative that's not good for the body.
Nitrates have been shown to be more cancerous than smoking.
Yeah.
And it's what we cover our bacon is preserved bacon. If you get your bacon from a butcher's, even a butcher's, it's probably preserved with nitrates purely because it makes it last so much longer, so therefore stopping wastage, so it reduces the price. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to get nitrate-free bacon, but if you go to certain places you can get it. I think Sainsbury's are doing some good ones now. So I just used to get rashers of nitrate-free bacon, make a couple of them. Sometimes I'd even just the raw eggs, just to bang them down, just to get the calories in. 2 pieces of toast, brown toast, and freshly squeezed.
Yeah.
And squeezed orange juice in the morning. And then for my dinner, I'd have just like a cup of rice. I'd have lemon juice on it, crushed lemon juice, and then I'd have like mini chicken fillets, good quality mini chicken fillets, with like you said, garlic, olive oil, and so. That's all I used to put, and I could eat that non-stop. And I obviously have veg next to it, but I just used to get them frozen bags of veg. There was nothing in it other than the veg. The problem with that is, it wasn't the best quality veg, but me at the time, being a bachelor and that, and I was eating a lot. I was eating about 5,000 calories a day. So it's like, because I had to have my build-ups as well, because at that stage I was chronically really unwell.
You weren't absorbing a lot because
you wasn't absorbing. So this is what I mean, of the 5,000 calories, I was probably absorbing like 3,500 of it, which is obviously not great, but I was happy just to eat that constantly. And I didn't really have to deviate. Sometimes I'd have salmon, chili flakes and all that type of stuff on it, but I didn't have to deviate so much, unfortunately, when I got with my partner, because like I said, I was buying everything good quality food, well, I was trying to anyway. So for a single man, I'm talking 10 years ago, I was spending about £140 a week on groceries, just on food, nothing else, nothing fancy, no Pringles, no like Mars bars, nothing like that, just literally good food. And I used to cycle on BMX, because I wasn't allowed a car. I just stayed after it, but even then when I was quite unwell, I was probably still cycling maybe 5 miles a day on a BMX with no gears, which to be honest was kind of stupid. It wouldn't make sense to have gears, but yeah, it was good. It was healthier.
Just to speak about nutrition and whole, there's a lot of misconceptions. Like I've always found 51% true, 49% bullshit, but who do you believe? Something that's come to my understanding more the last couple of years since I've studied nutrition is healthy fats versus unhealthy fats, and that fat-free doesn't mean healthy, and that fatty foods such as your oily fish, wild caught, nuts, seeds and oils are great sources of healthy fat. I mean, every cell in your body to some degree contains fat within it. The brain's made out of fat. So I think the media tends to demonise fat and say you shouldn't eat it, but people are choosing calories as king and just going for fat-free options, which isn't necessarily good for health. So I just wondered if you could help dispel some of the myths between healthy fats and unhealthy fats.
I've never had a problem eating fats. I like eating fats, I like eating healthy fats. I try and avoid your fried goods, all that type of stuff. Even milk, stuff like that. But if I am gonna, I mean, it's hard this because it's the same type of thing about sugar and fructose. You know, your naturally occurring sugars in fruit, body's used to it.
Yeah.
And obviously they come with fibre and other things, but
it's easy to absorb.
yeah, I mean it's natural. It's in the natural, especially if you're getting good quality. It's okay as long as you're not eating tons and tons and tons. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's the same with fats. I mean, healthy fats are completely fine. Your body's going to use them well as long as you don't absolutely drill them. You know. But the hard thing is in this.
So you say you could have too much of healthy fats?
Oh yeah, I mean, I believe if you overdo it with anything,
yeah,
it's going to have an effect on you. But you'll notice you might get bummed up. You know, you might feel a bit, a bit lethargic almost, or something like that. But I think if you have smaller amounts, you eat your healthy fats, you eat your healthy, natural occurring sugars, all that type of stuff. You don't need anything external. You don't need to frying foods. Should not be in our diet. That is the worst type of fats you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But is it a staple of the Western diet? It fucking is. And this is what I mean. Like I find it difficult because I'm advised to eat fried stuff. This is one of the dishes that they advise on the CF Trust is fried Mars bars.
Is this where they're thinking just being that calories?
Calories, and the easiest way to get calories is sugar. Sugar and obviously fats. If you combine both, you get a huge kick. Unfortunately,
they just see calories as energy, but they dismiss the detrimental effects to the internal system.
Yeah, 100%. They completely dismiss that you're going to be diabetic by no time.
And that 95% of all disease starts in the gut. So
that's it. So
you are what you eat as well.
So for the very short term, always getting a few extra calories. Calories is in carbohydrates or carbohydrates or which are sugars. You're going to sacrifice so many more things long term. When if you eat well, if you pass, but you're still getting your carbs, but you're not having that fast hitting, maybe a bit slower. You don't even have brown rice, stuff like that. But if you have that with healthy fats, the fats actually slow down your jump of your blood sugar. And if you're focusing some good quality protein, again, it's more steady.
Oh, you just said that again. So eating complex carbs, so carbs like brown rice.
So if you have your
eating that with fats, that's a good, interesting point actually. So combining certain foods has different effects. Reduces the harmfulness of certain things, increases the delivery of certain nutrients.
It gives your when you have carbohydrates, right? We'll talk about macronutrients.
Macronutrients,
you have your
carbohydrates,
your protein, and say your fats, all healthy. At the same time, you're going to have a less of a spike than you would if you just ate huge amounts of processed sugar, like say in here, a large breakfast with a tea with 3 sugars. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all fried carbs and it's just going to go on. So that's going to be beneficial for you.
So like if you were to eat a bar of chocolate and then some nuts with it, that would be more beneficial.
Yeah, it'd definitely be better because obviously there's protein nuts as well. Yeah, it won't be as fast. I mean, it's like bread, right? White bread.
Yeah.
If you have white bread as it is, it's going to cause a bit of a climb
in your blood sugar.
If you toast that bread, it goes slower. That people don't understand that. I don't even understand why it works, but it slows down how fast your body processes it. So there's all these like little tricks and stuff that if you knew, you probably could manage it a bit better. But ultimately, I think, with regards to what you're saying, healthy fats, yeah, no problems. I can eat avocados, I eat almonds, walnuts, all that type of stuff. But obviously, like what you said before with regards to the cup of tea that you made, your nuts contain so many more things than just fats and a bit of protein, and obviously women, because they're so asked about the nails and the hair, they should be eating nuts all the time because they've got the high in selenium, which is what you want.
And just to go back to oils, you're saying like we shouldn't be frying foods, but yet we have this. We do appreciate and understand that people have busy lives with kids to cook for and on the go. So if you were to say that people were to fry foods, what oils would you recommend using rather than others? And it's just making me laugh because of that debate we had, or that interesting conversation we had.
This is what's like hard for me, right? Because I sometimes have a sensor in my arm, and it will show me minute by minute, second by second, increase, decrease, depending on what I eat and how much insulin they have. so I can see how my body responds to a fried hash brown compared to a potato. Right? I can see it there, my blood reacting. But you will get people saying, nah, fried stuff's good. And I can be like, mate, I can show you. There's loads of studies obviously been showing this in time. But it's just, if you're gonna fry stuff, don't fry it above 180.
He's doing the studying.
Yeah. Well,
He's doing the research.
Yeah. Well,
that's another topic.
Well, that's it. When you talk about, you could go into who backs certain studies and who backs certain things. You know, like when you look at people that are back saying these studies that say organic's not as good as, it's the same as aggressively farmed pesticide used one. It's fucking not. But the people are, if you was to say, like years and years and years ago, if the doctors said about the cigarettes and the smoking stuff, said, listen, it's bad for you. Cigarettes, like, whoa, I'm not sponsoring that, I'm not doing that. And it's just, there's money to be made, and there's money to be made, and the meat sector and the toffee sector and all these sectors that rely on misinformation and eating the wrong stuff, believing that you're going to be better. Sweet. If you've got a food that tastes good, and someone's going, yeah, you can eat as much of that as you want, you sound, you go, like, nice one, I like that, nice one. So two extra bread on my breakfast, please. That's what it's going to like. But you know, logic dictates, right? USA, for example, right, it is ridiculous. I remember when I went over there a few years, everything was just massive portions, everything's fried, it's absolutely ridiculous. You go, I mean, it's like that in the UK now. When I first went over there, I went into a Walmart, and there was a McDonald's at the entrance, and there was another McDonald's at the exit. So people going in, getting McDonald's, doing the shopping, and getting McDonald's on the way. I was like, it's crazy. But the McDonald's was cheaper than a lot of the good food. But then I went to Peru a few years later, and it was a similar type of thing. Obviously, Peru wasn't as ahead with regards to it's being commercialised. So you went in, you did your shopping, halfway around, you could sit down and have some cake, right? You thought it was fucking crazy because some of these cakes, they're like this thick and massive, they're like something off Matilda. But people sat there, chomping cakes, chomping cakes, Bruce Bogshot, chomp with the trolleys, and then going back on. But it's just obviously normal. But yeah, if you're gonna use oil, you know what I mean, like to cook your chicken in, or your salmon, shallow fry your salmon, stuff like that, that's fine. You just gotta know that overdoing it, because again, that's something that's only our body's been exposed to for a short amount of time. So you can't expect it to be like, yeah, I can take this on, I can take this on, I can take loads of it on, because it's just not. And you could go to the study of the Aborigines and their inability to process Coke, like Coca-Cola. So their rates of diabetes are through the roof. But Coke didn't stop selling Coke to these Aborigines, knowing that genetically they are predisposed to get diabetes extremely fast, because they used to live off bush grub, which is high protein, very, very little carbs. But that's what they used to live off, so their body is adapted. And this is what I mean, it's like, when people go, no, it's not a problem. Some people might be more adapted or flexible or used to having different stuff. But then there's some of us that just can't. And this is what I believe IBS and stuff is. I believe some people genetically can't take these preservatives like some people can. Some people are meant to be boxers, they can take a lot of body blows, they'll take a lot of punches to the face. There's some people whose jaw just snap. That's what I believe what these people are. IBS and colitis and all this type of stuff. I think these people have not sturdy bowels and guts and stuff. So, and this is what generally happens. That's what I believe anyway, that's what makes sense to me.
So we've seen people who, I've read from case studies that people have followed Dr Gundry's diet, and then you've read more about Dr Sebi, but the people who have had these diseases, trying these diets where it's, Dr Gundry lectin free and Dr Sebi's alkaline based food.
Yeah, it's alkaline based food, it's anti-mucoid.
We've seen like the symptoms reduce, and then your disease turn around, and some claims even as far as diabetes, cancer even.
I believe-
So that's the power of what food can do. It's not just that food influences mood, it's like the body can heal itself, but to do that we need to stop bombarding it with so much processed food.
Yeah.
But the society that we live in, we are busy, and we have got a lot of things to consider. It's money, value and all that. So I believe that if we could try and eat 80% of the time foods that are whole, foods that 20% foods that are processed, and we look at our plate each meal, and if we're having 3 meals a day that's it's just completely processed, we should look to try and reverse that by just replacing one meal where everything on that plate is just one ingredient, and that might be a lot easier to help transition into eating 80% whole foods, 20% processed.
Yeah.
What do you think about 80-20?
Yeah, I think 80-20. I mean, you could even go down. You could go down 100. Do you know what I mean? Where you make everything from scratch. If you want to make your own tomato sauce, you can make your own tomato sauce. It's going to be miles better than anything you buy. And obviously, it won't be.
People don't want to invest in the time,
This-
do they?
that's
But
the
they don't
point.
realise
It's
that the
difficult.
food governs everything.
That's
Like
it,
the
because-
disease. It's like if you have that level of urgency and importance, to say, look, that should be priority. And you would
This
make the time, wouldn't you? But people just want a quick fix. Or
100%. But this is where it goes back to the society, the constructs of society. Because years ago, my grandma stayed at home. She cooked everything from scratch. My granddad went out to work. He'd come back. Healthy food was grown. You had vegetable gardens post World War. You grew your vegetables in your garden. You made nettle tea. You know what I mean? You ate.
before the invention of supermarkets.
Well, this is what I mean. You go to a supermarket now, right? And look how many aisles are fresh produce, right? And even maybe work this out as a ratio, because I can tell you, I can tell you how many's in Tesco.
Yeah.
How many aisles are organic whole foods, and it's one fucking aisle. The rest are cereals, biscuits, booze, obviously
I've
shampoo.
never thought about it that way.
Yeah, but you don't, because you're conditioned for it to be normalised.
And adverts with people like being active, eating
Yeah.
food, that precept, isn't it? That
course,
it's good for you because like footballers advertising Cadbury's and
McDonald's,
Coke,
World Cup.
yeah, they're healthy. It's
Whoa.
just that precept that without thinking about it, you just weaned on it really. Aren't
If
you?
you, this is, I've always found. I mean, Ronaldo did that thing, didn't he? At the
Yeah.
football where he moved the coat, moved it out of the way. And I
Fair play to him.
thought, and people, there was a bit of an uproar on that because this guy, because he's the peak of human performance.
Yeah.
How he trains himself. He's on point with his diet. He has loads of chicken breasts a day, and all. He has just super clean food. He's always been like that. But for the who I believe was number one in the world at that time, at a time to say, right, I'm not endorsing this. Get this out of the way. Is what more people should be doing. Unfortunately, money talks. Ronaldo doesn't need the money, so he can go. I'm not interested in that. I'm not spreading the propaganda.
Yeah.
But for most of the people, like talking to you, if I was to say about a grocery shop in Manchester called Unicorn, a lot of people won't have a clue what I'm on about. They'll think I'm talking about some mystical horse. But I'm not. I'm talking about a place where when you go in, you can smell the soil on the veg.
I remember when you took me first time, it's like a different,
That's
open
it.
your eyes up.
You know what I mean? You can get all your grains.
Garlic was meant to be that big.
I mean, yeah, it's massive. It's mint. It's great. And this is what I mean. That's how places used to be.
Yeah.
But then, processing. I mean, your pieces you buy, your chicken that you buy, all these from the supermarket processed. The thing about going into a supermarket now, it's not really about buying your food to get by. It's to try and get you to consume as much as possible, getting to point A, and then getting back home point B. So when you're in there, what they used to do is they used to design supermarkets. So basically, when you get bread and milk, it'd be at the furthest point. So you had to walk for everything, and you pick up. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that. That's what it's like. But if you go in a shop now, like at Tesco, just walk through the aisle. Excuse me. When you walk in, just look at the aisles and just think of how much sugar is on each aisle. Sugar, like in each thing, because it's absolutely, it's mental. Like,
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. Like just the
And
one
then-
aisle's organic and then
you've got, yeah, that's it. I mean, because you've got the veg aisles, you've got like 4 veg, and of one of them it's organic, but that's very limited because that is generally seasonal as well. So like when Wimbledon's on and everyone's got strawberries and everyone's right, strawberries and creams, strawberries are rife then. you know, at that particular time. They're everywhere. But you can get, I mean, you can put something like that in your garden. That's what I would definitely be going with, regard to how everything's going at the minute with the cost of everything, the price of food going up, you know, because we get eggs. Our eggs have gone up, I think it was £34 to £52 this Friday. That's how much they're going up. So in my head, I'd be like, and these aren't organic, free-range chicken eggs. I mean, you might say that, but you know what I mean? You're gonna obviously like, I would just be like thinking, oh, I need to get a chicken there. So you just plot around my garden, got some nice good nutrition. But I think unfortunately, what we're in for, not what we're talking about, is we're coming up to a time where I believe protein won't be as abundant in its normal source of beef, chicken. I think it's going to get very expensive for a lot of people, and it's going to be priced out. So either people, especially the good quality stuff, you don't really have the option to buy the cheaper stuff, which is going to be hard, you know, for a lot of people. But the problem that we face when we're having this conversation is that there's many people in this you know, area that can't afford like top quality food. They just can't, because they've got loads of kids to work on. They're getting squeezed by energy, you know, insurance, mortgages, all this type of stuff. So it's getting harder. So this is the balance that you're talking about. Like at what, and this is where I struggle with regards to you, because obviously you talk to me and you say, Cal, you need to do this, and you're right, I need to do it. But then I'm in the same situation. I've got like my business, and my family, and my other family members, and all this type of stuff. So I'm trying to support everyone, and I kind of put my own stuff. But I know what I need to do, but it's hard. It's finding that balance. Now, if you apply that to, say, a single mum, or you know, a single dude who's just getting by and all this type of stuff, because we've had loads of people in here. You're saying, well, I'd start bringing pot lunches to work, purely because they can't afford it. And if they can't afford, obviously, this, yeah, they might have time to, they might have enough money to go and buy better stuff at home and prepare it. It's having the time to possibly do that. So it's...
Like I say, what would make you create that urgency for making time is the realisation that food is determining your health.
Yeah, I think...
but that's what I think that's the message that I want to get across to people today, really, is, you know, start realising that deeply, that 95% of disease starts in the gut. So you are what you eat, in terms of it's not about quantity, and even from your own medical history, it's about quality. You don't need as much as you think. I mean, intermittent fasting is something that is done in cultures around the world, and like you mentioned before, Blue Zone, I don't know whether they apply some kind of time eating windows, or it's just because they're eating, you know, food that's from the sea, fresh caught fish, you know, locally grown produce. But to me, it seems like that's something that's getting a lot of
traction,
airtime. What are your thoughts about intermittent fasting and possibly helping people over here who want to kill two birds with one stone? How do you think applying that to their own lives?
Yeah, 100%. 100% agree with it. 100% it works. Like I said, the gentleman that I was talking about before with hepatitis who cured himself now, who has to carry a certificate because no one believes that he's cured. That's my dad.
Right.
Yeah, so he's a professor. He did research years ago, all that type of stuff, and he looked into intermittent fasting. You know, organic pesticides. He's a chemical engineer. He knows his stuff. Like I said, he used to work on a sugar plantation. You know, refining sugar, the chemicals they use, all this type of stuff. So on that, he knows about it. This is why when we had the conversation about fried goods, we talked about the molecular structure of oil changes when it's heated to a certain temperature, which has this effect. He went into detail about it, but I was like, I'm not putting that in the shot. It's too technical. It's just bad.
Was this when we was having that?
Yeah. So obviously he broke it down. You know,
you spoke to him about that conversation?
No, my dad said, I said, Dad, what changes? You know, when you fry, when you use like frying oil or, you know, vegetable oil or olive oil above 180 degrees, it starts throwing off all this molecular structure changes because of this, and the bonds are broken because of this, and this has an effect on your body. And I thought, well, because when my dad starts going, especially on something that he's interested in.
Will he never fry food?
He's never eaten stuff like that.
Fried.
No, he has. I think he has.
He just doesn't eat it regularly.
No, I mean, like what he used to do for Pauline, his partner, who's English, like, I think once every probably month they go to McDonald's, but they'll get a chicken sandwich meal shared between them, or like like just a chicken. But my dad would just eat the piece of chicken. He wouldn't eat the chips out of the bun. So she'll eat the bun and the chips, and he'd share the drink. It's just like kind of weird, but he just stays away from it. Yeah. But obviously he did research on
Heating oil and stuff.
yeah, not just the heating oil on the intermittent fasting, all this type of stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what he does is in the morning is he gets up about 7 bells something. I still an early morning. I'm talking like 83. The first thing he does in the morning is I believe he has a good glass of water first thing, and then he'll have fresh orange juice squeezed and in his system within about 5 minutes. So as soon as it's squeezed, it starts degrading, gets it, and then he just leaves it for about an hour and a half. And he only leaves it for an hour and a half to flush his system out, like almost to wake it up. But he won't eat for a couple of hours. Obviously my dad eats small amounts, but he never snacks. Never. I've never seen him eat a biscuit. If I go on and go, "Can I get a biscuit?" Sometimes I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go, do you want a bit of dark chocolate?" "Yeah, alright." "Do you want some nuts?" I'm like, "Yeah, alright." But he never does. Never does, no. Like if he's had his dinner and he's still a bit hungry, I'll have some nuts and stuff like that. But obviously he's very clean, but yeah.
It's a lot of discipline, isn't it?
He's so disciplined, man. He comes from Peru, mate, from a generation where if you wanted to study, you had to walk like 5 miles to get a book, to walk 5 miles back, to read next to a candle. So, you know what I mean? Honestly, something like that.
Well, it was windy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But obviously, it's different back then. But yeah, so he's always done this. He's always said, don't eat anything first thing in the morning. Just give you time to settle. If you need anything, have your orange juice before you eat food and everything. But yeah, he's probably been doing that for 20 odd years. But he doesn't drink. He doesn't eat certain potatoes. Fast potatoes, doesn't have antibiotics, all that type of stuff. But I've seen it in him. You wouldn't believe how fit he is, man. Honestly, it's unbelievable. Like, he beats me at badminton. He's got like 50 years on me. And not just that, he plays badminton in a weighted outfit.
And he's definitely not eating what the NHS and government and what everyone's told
no.
they should eat in terms of carbs, protein.
No, what he does is,
sugar.
Pauline is a phenomenal cook. She buys the best quality of most stuff, you know what I mean? If she can get the best, she'll get the best. He's the one who got me on about nitrate-free bacon, because I was eating bacon.
I didn't even hear about that until you told me,
well,
a year ago.
My dad told me about it. He went, "Son, you can't eat it with all the medication you're on. You need to give your liver and kidneys a rest." I'm like, "You know what, Dad? Nitrate bacon." I'm like, "You know what?"
It's not common knowledge at all, is it?
So obviously he's a chemical engineer, so I looked at it. He went, "Nitrate is really toxic, like really, toxic to you." And then he was spouting off all these other things like monosodium glutamate and all these type of things. And he basically said, nature is healthy for your car, and nature makes things a bit tasty for you as well. But man, to compete with nature, we have to make it tastier. We can't do that by nature's laws, so we have to cheat. And that's where all these things come in. MSG, preservatives, additives, flavour enhancers, copious amounts of salt. So if you remove fats, you tend to increase it with salt.
Sulfur dioxide put in certain...
sulfur, I think it's sulfur dioxide, I think it is. Is it
I remember I found, what was it, that food that I had from being bargains, and I was like,
mango.
You said
Dry mango.
Dried mangoes meant to be real good for you, and I was like, yeah, buzzing cow got all of these, only £1, and you read the back of it, and there's that ingredient in it.
I think it's sulfur dioxide as well,
yeah. And then I was like, oh shit, and I'm trying to find that, and then I could only find it in Holland Barrett. It was like 3 times the price, and then we come back to that same old predicament that we always have, right, I'm going to have to spend a fortune to get that sustenance, because it's just not common, like in the food aisle. And again, going back to the one aisle in the whole Tesco being organic.
Yeah, it's like the best thing we can do, and this is like anything. If
you're just doing the best we can do, 80-20 is what I try to do.
80-20, mate, yeah, but like, so say you can get air fryers now, and on air fryers they have a setting where you dehydrate. So what you do, you slice up a mango, bang it in there, dehydrate it, and then store it yourself. It's as simple as that.
I didn't realise you could do that with
this is what I think. It's the knowledge, knowing. It's like your bread. And bread contains a lot of crap in it nowadays, regardless of where it's from. Best
Yeah.
thing you can do is make the bread itself, put it in an air fryer, you've got nice, healthy bread, slice it up, put it in your freezer, you've got the cleanest, healthiest bread, and probably the cheapest bread you'll ever have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you want to add stuff
What's
to
the air
it,
fryer do to it?
the air fryer.
Removes the preservatives?
No, it doesn't. It's just, I'm on about it just cooks, the air fryer, because it just cooks stuff like in
Right.
an oven. I'm saying you can make your own bread very easily. You can
Without using loads of
yeah.
oil that obviously can
Yeah.
be
Yeah, it's
bad
like,
for you when you fry it.
yeah, years ago, like if you wanted to make, say, jerky, you know, I mean, because you can make like salmon jerky and all sorts, you know, you just have to dehydrate it, you have to put it in an oven on a low heat for a long amount of time, and it works. But nowadays,
It's the same effect as an air fryer.
yeah, well, air fryer does it faster, so you can slice it some
Dehydrate
mango,
stuff.
put it in, mate, dehydrate it, get a jar, one of them like airtight jars, just put it in there, see in the water, got a bang on healthy snack there, so nothing in it, it's just a nice.
So it takes the sugar out of it as well.
No,
Lactose.
your sugar will be different. Your sugar will probably be, I don't know whether it's slower or faster. I know it changes it though when it's dehydrated,
Yeah.
definitely. But I mean, it's one of them that, so say when we went up to Lake District, if I had some of that, if I start to crash a bit, one or two of them is going to sort me right out. And obviously it's got a lot of good stuff in it, you know what I mean? But you can do it with everything. You can try out like apricots, you know what I mean? All sorts. So this is what I mean. It's when you say about the 80-20, if you could aim for 100, make you sick. The hard thing is it's lifestyle, mate. It's lifestyle. And so many people are just caught up in.
You're saying strive for 100, 80, 20.
That's it.
Fuck 80, 20. Go
That's
for
it, mate.
100.
That's it. If you're
I
gonna,
like
if you're gonna
Do it right.
do it right, mate. But like I said, if you're only planning, say, one meal, like one decent meal a day, plus, you know, whatever snacks you're having after your fasting. Say you're having, you know, some nuts, a bit of dry mango, or you know, like a veggie smoothie or something in the morning
Yeah.
to get you through. Because I honestly think that's all you need. You need.
So if I just summarise that then for like a daily intake of food.
So
Self green smoothie in the morning,
so yeah.
vegetable smoothie,
yeah, so I
one meal, and then
Yeah,
nuts, fibrous snacks.
If you fast,
How would that look like in a day?
so in a
Tell
day
me-
you
tell
wake
me
up in the
24
morning,
hours.
you have your water, yeah.
Up at 6 a.m. Have
Up by 6
a
a.m.
500 ml, pint, litre.
If you can bang the litre down, sweet mate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great. But if you can't, because if you've only got water in you, your body's just going to use it to flush everything out. It's going to be fucking great. But if you can only get 500 ml, because people find it very filling more. So if you can get 500 great.
Great
Then-
habit to wake you up as
Yeah,
well.
100%. And then I'd wait. I mean, if I could, I had this idea about like a meal-based company where we did one meal a day. I mean, good quality.
Packed it with all the micronutrients.
Yeah, I mean, everything's organic, everything's clean. It's not made up and rewound. It's made that day. It's posted on your doorstep, like that day in a box. And in the morning, so you've got your smoothie, yeah, whatever smoothie you choose, and you've got your one meal a day. And with that, obviously you can't, there's no point posting more because it's just, you know, stupid. But 500 ml in the morning, then you leave till about 11, 12 o'clock, you have your smoothie with maybe some fats, you know, like such as your nuts or whatever. And then when, later on at home, you have your tea, you have your one meal. Now that meal could be, you know, a nice salad, bit of salmon on it, or, you know, a bit of chicken, whatever you want really. I mean,
What time would that be at?
I'd probably do it about 6.
Yeah.
I do it at about 6.
The fasting is done from the time, say, you went to bed at 10 p.m, then you're having your water when you wake up, say, 6 or 7, and then you're having your smoothie at 12.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of time for the insulin levels to reset,
You'd be,
the body to start
you'd
then
feel
burning
light.
fat that it's got within the body of stored fat already,
Yeah.
using that fuel, regenerating new cell growth, everything in the body. When you do fast, it's like a chance for your mitochondria, which are your energy producing cells, it's a chance for them to regenerate and get rid of any cells that aren't up to the job. So it's like a cleansing process. We actually become alert, more virile, more, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
vitalised.
You'd feel light. You'd feel by 12 o'clock, just
Yeah.
before your meal, you'd be hungry. But when you have that smoothie and your few nuts, about 3 o'clock, you'd feel light. You feel I've got my nutrients that I need. I've got a bit of fats, all that type of stuff. I'm okay. And if you've got something like some smart scales, you go on them, check your, you know, your muscle mass, all that type of stuff, your water retention, your water percentage, and you just look at it and you're like, right, okay, I've lost a bit of muscle mass. Am I okay with that? I don't know what I gain. And then you make these
Yeah, yeah.
Slight moderation, and then
I always say ask yourself what's your energy like, what's your mood like, and then
Yeah.
test and adjust from there. Don't feel like you have to just eat 3 meals a day, otherwise you're going to, become unhealthy or not well enough.
Mhm.
If you feel good, it's a good indication that you're doing things right. You try and break away from these precepts that we've all been told. And like I say, be your own kind of physician in that way. But then you've got, so your meal at 3 o'clock, that's your one meal of the day. Did you say 3 o'clock?
No, 6. Say 6
6
o'clock.
o'clock, yeah.
Right, and then from 6,
Yeah.
I would just have water, another 500 water of 8 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock if you're going to watch a series or something, or you've got something to do, and leave it, go sleep.